Ashley Camille here at Fifth House Bloom. This message is for the cardinal signs. Cardinal signs for the week of May 13th through May 19th. This is general guidance, so please take what resonates and leave the rest behind. At this time, I'd like to welcome forth the power and the presence of the elevated guides who can assist me in delivering this message for the cardinal placement. I ask that you open up our ears so that we hear the truth of liberation. I ask that you open up our minds so that we may bloom. I ask that you open up our hearts so that we may embrace our divinity. I ask for assistance in delivering this message with clarity, empathy, and ease. I give thanks. Okay, so I just finished Mutable Signs, and I recommend everybody watch that one. Even if you don't have like prominent placements, the energy is still within us all as the collective, as a channel for everyone. But there's this part about, the collective energy feeling dark. And I don't mean that in a negative sense in any way. I don't mean that as like scary, evil, bad, mischievous, whatever, all those associations that the dark gets a bad rep. This is like the period of gestation, like darkness before the light. What you have to step out of for your rebirth, for the re-emerging, right? From the transformation, from the cocoon. And it actually feels very grounding. And that's still not to say that does not come without challenges, because it does take a lot to stay steady and stay, present while in the darkness. But let's see what the message is for you this week. Change, opportunity. Resilience, that came up in the Mutables. Yeah, go watch that. Authenticity, yes, go watch that. I might not even do this, and I just need to read it for everybody. Okay, let me show your cards. Authenticity, and let me just deliver your message. Change and resilience. But give me a second so I can be present with you. Oh, yeah. So it comes up, freedom, in the Mutable Signs video. But what stands out to me was, as I was reading from the book, was releasing yourself from these old versions of you, releasing yourself from these old obligations, these shoulds, these expectations that you have for yourself. And who was that for? What version of yourself was that for? And so here, in the change, being in the challenge position, especially if we're sitting in this energy of being on the precipice of a rebirth and re-emerging and coming forward, there is some fear and unknown. I think this came up for you last week or the week before in your reading, right? Of who will you be? Who will you become? What will emerge? And there is, even though, you're being moved and pushed, it kind of feels like, for some, towards this more authentic, this freer version of you in your life, that is still scary. Change is still scary because it is the unknown. You have gotten familiar with how to operate within this way of being. You've been able to operate as this version of you, right? You know what to do, you know what to expect, you know how to navigate, you know how to get what you need and what you want. Wrapping it up, because what you want is different now. What you need is different now. And so having to go through that process and to release this mask in this version, so that you can really get get at the core of the truth, it's scary, right? And so I want to acknowledge that, because even if what is coming through and you're being pushed to learn from more of a place of pleasure and more of a place of joy, it's still difficult to navigate and to feel through and to be present in the process of change. But give me a second. Something about resilience in this position. Why? What do we need to know? Can I read it? No? Okay. Which one am I supposed to, if at all? Change. There's something I'm missing. So I don't want to move on until... Okay, change. Portal spilling open is the art. Change challenges us to consider our attachment. Okay. Change challenges us to consider our attachments, control, desire, fear, uncertainty, confusion, curiosity, responsibility, and resilience. Life is consistently changing, moving and flowing around us in both expected and unexpected ways. Sometimes we can have a strong desire to keep things as they are just because we fear the unknown or what may come. Change brings new life, new possibility, and new openings. How do we meet change? Are we so set in our ways, our comfort, our discomfort, our stubbornness, and what we already know that we aren't willing to grow and be wrong? And so there is the resistance, but I said that already, but it's showing up in the resilience. And I'm just here to tell you that, like, you got this and you can do that, right? And you can move through that challenge, right? And I'm not saying that it won't be uncomfortable, but I am saying that what is on the other side of that will be and will result in a freer version of you. All right, let me go back to this. I done lost my place. Are we so set in our ways, our comfort, our discomfort, our stubbornness, and what we already know that we aren't willing to grow, be wrong, make mistakes, be human, learn, and meet change head on? And this is particularly feeling difficult for you, especially as it results to others. Who will you disappoint by releasing this old version of you? Who will no longer be able to benefit when you are releasing this old version of you? And there feels like a sort of you have made yourself obligated when that is not yours, your job, your responsibility, your, as you move forward, it's your freedom and to be the most authentic version of you. And then your relationships, the places that you are, the things around you, your opportunities, adjust accordingly. Okay, I done lost my place again. Are we so mutable, ever-changing, flowing, shifting that we forget to take root and allow ourselves stability? When life changes within us or around us, we have an opportunity to adapt and lean into our resilience. Or an opportunity to collapse into the crippling attachment to what we desire something to be. Yes, watch the mutable signs. We can resist change or meet it in flow. Change is the only constant. I'm thinking of Octavia Butler in the parable of sower. Read it if you haven't. And yet there is a part of you that is steady and present through every change. Consider holding an essence of curiosity and sinking into the mystery. Think about ways you have adapted and changed in the past. Okay, so this looking to the past for information on how to lead us forward. For you here, this is about where you've done it before, where you've made those shifts. And I want you to acknowledge the bravery, Ace of Wands, the bravery that takes to always be in the process of becoming this version of yourself, this next version of yourself, this more authentic version of yourself, right? And acknowledge that you have done this before. You have done this before, okay? Now, yeah, each time, because the bar continues to be raised, right? If you're doing this, if you are embracing it, you are growing. You are growing. But what happens, not only are you risking stagnancy by staying in this position out of comfort, right? And there's only so far, there's only you can stay in that state before it starts to deplete you, before it starts to send you backtracking, right? Because change gonna happen around you no matter what, right? And you will always be the way this set up, the way the universe is set up, that there will always be opportunities that are encouraging you to move forward and to grow, whether that be through challenges, whether that be through pleasure. So I don't want it to be clear. This fear is not just about what is challenging and what is hard. This fear is also about what is pleasurable, what is good, what is heart opening, right? That could be something that you always desire, or something that is good for you, something that will sustain you, right? And encourage you to grow. And the responsibility it takes to maintain that, the responsibility and what it requires to show up in that. Thinking about, this is general guidance, but let's use like a new position, a new role at your job, right? Something that you have never done before. And you start off and you're fumbling, right? You're making mistakes. It's difficult. If you don't give yourself, you don't take the position because you fear that you won't do well at it, you will never have the opportunity to do well at it. You'll never get the chance to grow from that, and that's open you up. But you can bring everything that you've already learned into it with you. And that is why sitting with these past versions of yourself, sitting with the places that you have grown and been very intentionally mapping out, like, oh, I've done this before, is why it's so helpful. All right. Because, right, I'm getting the image of like a plant being root bound because you don't switch out the container. The container is too small and the roots just start balling in on themselves, and eventually like that kills the plant, it might take a very long time, right? That's that slowly, but it's not getting the nutrients in the same way. You can't distribute them in the same way, right? And so that's what is just coming. So the part of it is like interrupting that comfort process, because thank you for that imagery. Like with the roots, it happens so slowly that it's getting comfortable in that, getting adjusted to that, learning to function root bound to the point where you don't even notice that you aren't getting what you need. You aren't getting what you want. You aren't being the fullest version. You aren't thriving, right? Okay. You see that here in this mask. You even hear in all of the imagery, right? The cracking. That might have started off small, but eventually, and so it's like, oh, I don't have to deal with that. Oh, I don't have to address that. Oh, it's not that bad. And you learn to maneuver around the cracks. It's no longer about growing. It's no longer about thriving. It shifts to sustaining and maintaining and walking around these cracks. I hope that's clear in the way that I'm trying to explain that. So instead of being growth focused, instead of becoming the freer version of yourself and, moving towards authenticity, your actions, your thoughts, your goals, your being is around making sure you can stay in that pot without disturbing the cracks. I think that was clear. Okay. let's just go into, because that was a lot. What do we need to know? Okay, we'll do actions. Actions in your position. Queen of Pentacles, reverse. Queen of Wands, reverse. And green. Page of Wands, Two of Wands. Give me a second. We got the Six of Pentacles at the bottom. Let me take what's down. Pentacles, 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 Pentacles. Pentacles and Wands, Earth and Fire. Spirit reality. Wheel. This is figuring out where you are living in your shoulds, where you are living into others' expectations, society's expectations, your mama's expectations that do not align. This is, and this could be potentially challenging because this is like being in truth with yourself, right? Be gentle with yourself. There is no judgment. But when we allow ourselves to tell truths, that is when we can set ourselves free. And so here, as also looking into where you have changed before, this is looking at what around you in your life does not belong to the authentic version of yourself. What relationships are not for the authentic version of yourself, the freest version of yourself, the most, no, okay. Where are you showing up that is not a reflection of your authenticity? There might be, let's be very real, there might be some places, some people, some things that out of necessity that you have to engage in, you still tell yourself the truth. That's the truth. I am here because I have to be. But be real about what is a have to be versus what is just either easier or more comfortable or does not require you to put down this mask and does not require you to get into the dirt, to get into the fight for this version, this free version of you. You have to do that first, because where you, and this is not no 1 week, this is not 1 week work, okay? You know, but each time seeds are being planted, right? Give yourself space and time. This might be the whole rest of the year, right? Especially with Pentacles, be observant, be aware, because what you are trying to create space for is these new beliefs, these new ideas, right? This new expansion, or the spaces that you will expand into. It's you know, here it's so youthful, the energy is so light, and so you're getting to a position of play, in a way, exploration, learning. You don't have to know. You don't have to know. You're not supposed to, but you have to start by first identifying and telling truths about what in your life is not reflective of your authenticity, so that you can then enact, empower, collaborate with your will in order to explore what is possible for who you are becoming. Anything with this? Okay, thank you. So with the Queen of Wands, this is like the yellow position. Slow down, reflect, switch gears, right? You have the tendency, especially here we have Queen and Queen, to get to the end, to get into it's like, okay, I've identified it, and like, bam, now I want my whole life to reflect it like that. No, we have to, you know, get into this youthful, this play, this exploring, this learning, this, you know, seeing, experimenting, not having the answer, instead of rushing to the end of this to bypass the change process and to bypass the discomfort of the change and the growth process. Okay. I'm supposed to read authenticity. I'm trying not to hold y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go after this. This art is called Mask of Shame. I stand in the fullest expression of my authentic truth. This is important for you all. I will not sacrifice who I am to make others comfortable. When we choose to sacrifice who we are to put, that's okay. That's what that is in this instance. And just look at the art. When we choose to sacrifice who we are to put on a face for others, we may likely feel betrayal. Not betrayal by others, the betrayal of ourselves. There are many reasons throughout life that we can put on a mask to hide what is really authentic within us. Vulnerability, fear, shame, guilt, rejection, uncertainty, not wanting to burden others, not wanting others to see us as weak or incapable. What are the reasons we have collected in opposition to that? Reasons to be authentic. Putting on false masks, personas, or shape-shifting ourselves to make ourselves more comfortable is a path that can make us spiral into a cycle of inauthenticity. If we walk inauthentically for periods of times, we can forget what it is like to be unapologetically free within ourselves, root bound. Inauthenticity can cause us to fill our lives with, it's about to be a read, y'all. Inauthenticity can cause us to fill our lives with connections that perpetuate the cycle of self-betrayal, people that we aren't ourselves around, relationships that aren't aligned, jobs that feel depleting rather than fulfilling, and patterns that cycle us farther away from living fully aligned and expressed. We must be willing to be fully authentic with ourselves in order to be fully authentic with others. Notice what parts of you feel the most edgy to accept and share, even within yourself. And so, after that read, I think that it is important to remember that your freedom is directly connected, your abundance, your joy with your authenticity, and it is all there for you, right? Sometimes it can feel like, especially when we are really in this position of being kind of root bound, that we have to perform in a way for people to show up and to be around, or we have to do certain things in order, or we have to work in a certain way and do this, right? There is also a reminder here to allow yourself to dream and to dream within. This did not come from me, because it was this clip a while back. I was like, whose imagination are you living in? And so part of this identifying the shoulds that are in your life is so that you can start to imagine and start to dream in a way that is more reflective of what will fill you up and what will get to your heart. This is the work of being in relationship with yourself, your authentic self, and creating a life from that. So with all of this, it's working. Oh, beautiful. It's a cycle, right? Here it's breaking apart. It's unlearning. It's an unconditioning so that you can essentially kind of show up in like the full energy, right? The newness energy, that rebirth energy. And from here, bam, right? I explore, I learned, I've given myself the space to be free and to be wrong, to explore, to see what this feels like, to see what I like, to see what I desire. Bam. And then we go Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles. Like, I operate from my will. I bring down divine inspiration and I make it real. This is a cycle, right? So I don't want you to be discouraged, because what is in the middle of this, and this heart says, I am here. That's what is available, all of this. And so, but the work, it can be uncomfortable, right? It can be uncomfortable, but well worth it. Okay.